Hello everyone, this is today's video analysis for February 22nd, 2019. Today we're looking at the USDCAD, the US dollar, versus the Canadian dollar for today's trade analysis. Before I begin the analysis, of course, it's important for me to recognize in about half an hour or so from the recording of this video, we have some news coming out of Canada. Retail sales hitting at 8:30 Eastern US time, again about 30 minutes from the recording of this video, so that could change things a little bit in the next 30 minutes. But for the time being, let's take a look at what's been happening and what we might expect to happen. Of course, we had the free fall right here where the market went down from the highest high into the mid 1.36s all the way back down into the 1.3055.70 level, the yellow shaded area down here. It's been rising a little bit and then falling a little bit over the past couple of weeks. Let's go back in time along this green zone being 1.3225, 3205, falling back in time. Black circle, you can see support into that area before. So we know that historically that this green shaded area, 1.3225.05, has been support before. So as long as it stays above it or gets above it and stays above it, we look for support. And of course, underneath it, we look for the market to go lower. Let's go ahead and zoom it in a little bit. So we're looking at two things. Either the news is negative for Canada. Negative news for Canada would send this currency pair higher. Positive movement for the US dollar. If we see the US dollar rally today, we would look for this to go higher. So that's something that we watch. Negative news, retail sales being worse than expected. Positive US dollar movement would send this back up towards the yellow zone, orange zone, or higher, potentially reversing the trend back to an uptrend. Good news out of Canada, if retail sales much better than expected or the US dollar sells off, we would look for this to get back under the green zone, head back down towards the pink zone or lower. So those are some of the things we're looking for right around this green shaded area, 3205.25. Another caveat that we also throw into it, the mix, is crude oil. Crude oil has been on the rise. Take a look at this, rising strongly. Higher crude oil prices, good news for Canada. And we would typically look for, on a rising oil price, the dollar CAD to move lower. But take a look, we're at significant resistance here, 57.70, 58.30. You go back in time, blue circle left-hand side of the chart, we see resistance there before. So crude oil matching into a resistance. If it falls off of that resistance and goes down, we would also look for the dollar CAD to go up. Whichever way crude oil prices go, we look for the dollar CAD to do the opposite. So if this falls off strongly, we would look for the dollar CAD to potentially go up. The perfect storm is, of course, there's three legs to that stool there. Crude oil being part of the strength or weakness of the Canadian dollar. The Canadian news coming up, retail sales at 8:30 Eastern US time, being part of the strength or weakness for the Canadian dollar. And, of course, the US dollar, strength and weakness. We see the US dollar index today pressuring back above what has been resistance for the past 2 days, 96.55.45. So all three of those components have a potential impact on the dollar CAD. If all three of those components line up correctly, let's say falling crude oil, bad retail sales for Canada, and positive US dollar movement, we'll likely see this go back up. The opposite's true as well. If we see falling US dollar, we see rising crude oil prices, and we see good retail sales out of Canada, we could see this break back through the green zone and head back down. Now, if there's a mix of all that, it could be a little bit more confusing. So at least you have some things to look for, at least in the next 25 minutes or so. Watch the news out of Canada, see how that plays out. Keep an eye on crude into resistance and the US dollar pressuring above support, and that may give us an opportunity around this green zone, 3205.25, for the US CAD today.
From Forex Traders Daily, this has been your daily analysis with Ross Mullins. If you would like to get Ross's analysis on all the currency pairs he's watching and all the trades he takes today, join him in his live trade room by clicking on the link below. Please leave any comments you have about today's video in the comments section below.